My fault, yo. Camera all crazy. All right. Can y'all see me? Can y'all see me? All right. All right. This is probably. Hold up. I can put this on top of something. Uh, my fault, y'all. My fault. Hold up. We got the technical difficulties here, but yo, welcome back to the No Cut Sports Podcast with your host, Niall Frazier. And y'all already know, man, it's been a little bit since I've been on here, but it's been a lot going on since I've been gone pertaining to the Philadelphia Eagles. So before we get started and before we get into anything, if you could for me, please like, comment, and subscribe to always catch this vibe. Still trying to grow the channel, man. You already know. So, biggest thing I really wanted to talk about too was the hit piece on Jalen Hurts. Um, I just wanted to hop on here and give my little 2 cents. Same thing with the AJ Brown situation. Just give my 2 cents too as well because I feel like, and I'm gonna just start off with the Jalen Hurts situation. And by any means, I'm not gonna go into this bias. I'm not going to be have any favoritism toward certain people or because this is my team. But I do have to say, I got to keep it a buck. I'm not going to say that Jalen Hurts is the problem because I feel as though that Jalen Hurts has been out there, what is this, the last 5, 6 years as a starter for the Philadelphia Eagles, picked in the second round, which could be, for whatever our reason, teams didn't, think, he was uh, deserving of a first round pick. Maybe because of how he plays, or it didn't fit their, their type of style or their play style. Excuse me. But for me, I ain't got nothing but good things to say about Jalen Hurts. And like I said, I'm not trying to be biased. There are some things he does need to work on. But the things I think he needs to work on have been, how can I say this? Interfered with, if that makes sense, because we're at, and the ESPN thinks that we're at a crossroads. And I do honestly think we are at a crossroads. And it's not because of Jalen Hurts. I think we're more at a crossroads because of our head coach. I don't know where this anonymous source came from. I don't know if it was a coach, because I was going about saying, oh, this is Kevin Patullo saying this. But then the more and more I'm thinking about this, I'm like, is this Nick? Could this possibly be Nick Sirianni trying to save his own behind? Because if we look at this, right, we look at all the different, things that have happened, and I'm gonna name a few, but all the things that have happened in these last few years, and I'm only on the outside looking in. I can only give my opinion. Like I said, I also appreciate Nick for what he's done for the Philadelphia Eagles, but I've always had a problem. People say like, hey, you can still win like this, which we have, but I think the biggest problem is that we have a head coach, right, that doesn't call plays, right? And we always say, like, what does Nick Sirianni do? He doesn't call plays. Now he oversees things for sure, but he doesn't call plays. And I always felt like somebody that doesn't call plays, why are we implementing their scheme if they don't call the plays? You got to bring somebody out here that has some type of ball knowledge, some type of offensive knowledge to run his scheme, right? We talked, and this year is the biggest one, because you've seen he puts Kevin Patullo in a position, right, off a Super Bowl win. You coming off a good OC with Kellen Moore, or at least a proven OC who has shown you been with multiple teams that might not have had the best records depending on who he has had. But just think about this: Kellen Moore has had Dak Prescott, and Justin Herbert. Now, I ain't gonna sit there and talk too crazy about Dak Prescott, but the media holds Justin Herbert in this godlike QB realm, like he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he has never won a playoff game. But because it looks pretty when he throws the ball, same thing as Josh Allen going up there and crying on the podium after he threw, or he had 4 turnovers in a playoff game. Then they come out with the excuse that, oh, he was playing on a bad foot, things like that. Or for the Dallas Cowboys, they don't have a good defense. If they had the Philadelphia Eagles team, they go to the Super Bowl every year, or any other elite quarterback that they claim to be would be able to do these things. And I always say to myself, I'm like, well, if they're so elite, why haven't they gotten to the big game? Or and if they have, they never won it. Justin Herbert's another player that we talk about that does not have a playoff win. Josh Allen, I see him fold all the time in the playoffs, and then they want to blame it on everybody else but Josh Allen. And there's a host of other QBs that we could talk about. But when it comes to Jalen Hurts, it seems like he always gets the short end of the stick. The man's resume is what you would consider somebody of being elite. Now, does he play with great talent? Of course. This is a team sport. If you can get talent across the board from drafting, don't get me wrong, we do acquire good players through trading for them. But a lot of the players that we do have on this team were acquired through the draft over the years, developed, whatever the case may be. So if you want to sit there and say he plays with a stacked team, then blame Howie Roseman on that. Ain't nothing that he can do about the players that come and don't come. He might have some say, but at the end of the day, that's a Howie Roseman thing. Same time, we sit here and we talk about, like I said, all these elite quarterbacks. Well, how many of these elite quarterbacks had to change the scheme every year since they've been in the NFL? Let's be real. How many different schemes? Every year, this man has to go in there and learn a different scheme. Because the head coach, you know what I'm saying? They got to bring somebody in to call the plays because Nick Sirianni, once again, does not like to call plays. So then you have a quarterback that's looking to get better year in and year out, but then I feel like you have a coach that's not getting better. Like, we can call it what we want. You can sit there and say, like, oh, Nick Sirianni's this, he's that, he's one like this. No, bro. Because the biggest thing with me, and this could just be organizational, that they wanted a new scheme. You bring in Sean Meanie, right? A completely different scheme from Nick Sirianni. So who does that impact more? Because I've heard Jalen Hurts say we need to be more aggressive on offense. But then you bring in Kevin Patullo, and he runs the highest amount of hitch routes. But then y'all want to blame Jalen Hurts. Then they want to say he's not coachable. Well, how is he not coachable? He's a coach's son. I know one thing that would make me not want to take heed to somebody is if I see that they aren't all the way balled in like I am. You feel what I'm saying? I'm coming in here every morning. I'm speaking about Jalen Hurts. I come in here every morning, probably the first person in the building, last person to leave. You feel me? Studying this, studying that, doing what I need to do. And then you have a head coach, and this is no disrespect to Nick Sirianni, but I'm just trying to piece this together the best way I can. They're all down there, and for the owners meeting, whatever it's called, they're all down there. You see Nick sitting there drinking and stuff like that. And I know sometimes people get to drinking, words get to flowing. So they're talking about this anonymous source, which it could be, anybody. But I'm not going to say it's Nick, but my thing is, you could just be having a casual conversation and somebody's ear hustling. And they hear you say something where they can twist it into a story. Or they could have directly asked them and just been like, we'll keep your name a secret, whatever the case may be. But it is somebody in that building that is feeding them this information. Like I said, I just think, and I'm not trying to say it's Nick, but I know Nick is in a situation right now where, all right, so what am I good for? Because now they're not running my scheme. You feel what I'm saying? They're not running my scheme. They're running Sean Meanie's scheme. Now, if he comes out here, and I'm speaking about Sean, he does just even a better job than what Nick Sirianni has done by 10, 20%. They're looking to get rid of Nick Sirianni after the season or move him somewhere else. So I'm just saying they're trying to get ahead of this nonsense because Jalen Hurts has been to the playoffs every year. Okay. Is he a thrower of the ball like a Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar, whoever y'all want to name? Whoever y'all want to name. Is he? No, that's not him. That ain't him. But you know what is him? Winning. The whole point of this game is to win. And then to win the big game. And he's been there twice and won once. And then both times he was there, and we all, we know it. Outplayed Patrick Mahomes, this, that. He said, Purdy, come on, Cat. Come on, man. Come on, D. Not today, bro. Here he come with the nonsense. But yeah, but even Brock Purdy too, though, bro. If you want to add him to the mix as an elite quarterback, he's been there, and we thought he was going to win until that second half game. And Patrick Mahomes had to turn it up on him. You feel what I'm saying? And with the defense, at least, kept him in the game. And then Patrick Mahomes came down to do what he usually does. But even him has not been back to the big game. So I say all this to say, who would you want as your quarterback? Would you want Josh Allen? Would you want Joe Burrow? Somebody that we have seen consistently not be able to get it done. Joe Burrow has the offense. Now defense, it's up for question. But I've seen Patrick Mahomes when he beat us. I think they were like the 25th ranked defense in the league. So that's why I don't really buy into we weren't ranked high enough in this category or ranked we were ranked low in this category, because when the time comes, who's going to step up to the plate and win at the end of the day? Who's going to sit there? What team is going to come together and win? That's the thing. We always want to sit down here and make this a individual game, which I understand when we talk about quarterbacks with certain players. But at the end of the day, it's a team sport. Jalen Hurts cannot help that he plays for a great team. He cannot help that he has a great organization behind him. You feel what I'm saying? So I just don't understand why. And like I said, he does need to work on things. Do not get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. I would like to see him throw in the middle, under center a lot more, even using his legs to help keep this offense rolling. But to me, I just don't understand where all this nonsense comes from when the players I just named that we consider elite have yet to win a Super Bowl. They haven't. So you got crybaby AJ Brown. He wants to do this whining but drops passes. I mean, like I said, man, I'm not gonna sit here and he should have caught those balls and things like that. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that the season was anything like we wanted it for AJ. Okay, and I'm not gonna blame the season on AJ for him dropping those balls, because me personally, at the end of the day, I seen the writing on the wall. If you're an Eagles fan or whatever fan you were, if you was watching our games, you seen the writing on the wall. I went to a game. I seen that the offensive line, I said that earlier in the season, that they didn't look good at all. Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson. I was at the Tampa Bay game, week 4, walking over to the sideline. When I say limping, like barely could walk, type movement. So I'm not going to sit here and just blame AJ for everything. I know AJ's upset, which he has every right to be, because he know what this offense should look like. You hear Jalen Hurts say what he wants the offense to look like. My only common denominator here is Nick Sirianni to me. Even when AJ looked at Nick after the Buffalo game like a goofy, like, bro, we won 18-19. You saying here getting excited about what? Should have blew them bums out. Keep it a stack. Should have blew them bums out. And we running his offense. Somebody that doesn't even call plays. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's the same thing if you work in at a job, you have a supervisor. We all know people like this. Been working there for a little bit, or know somebody that knows somebody. Know they not qualified for the job, right? And then they still get the job. They bring them up. And then they don't know what to do. You sitting here asking me, well, how should I do this? You the one making $100,000 a year. You supposed to be telling me what to do. I shouldn't be telling you what to do. You the supervisor. Same thing with Nick Sirianni. Like, it just blows my mind, because it's like they were like in the article, they say Nick looks at, they asked Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo looks at Nick looks at Jalen Hurts, and he said Jalen Hurts calls the 4 verts. Okay, cool. I mean, if that's what the situation was, but my thing is, you're the coach, you're the OC. If you feel like this is not what you wanted him to do, y'all could have said that. But 2 incompetent people can't run an offense at all. Couldn't score enough points in the second half. In the second half of games, how many times have we scored 40 points? Look at the Seahawks. Look at the Seahawks. They don't just sit on leads. Right, they don't sit on leads. But who are you blaming for that? Are you blaming Jalen Hurts? Or are you blaming the coaches? Because when they say Jalen Hurts is uncoachable, and I just want to bring some situations up, right? You said the Seahawks game, right? Not this Seahawks game, but the Seahawks games of 23 it was, I want to say, where they had a play drawn up, and who went off? They went off schedule. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts went off schedule. Did it work out? No. There's another time this year where Saquon Barkley, and he talks about, I think Saquon has scored on a touchdown on a pass play. And I don't know if it was after the game or that week they had talked to Saquon, and Saquon literally said that this play was not in the playbook. He said Jalen came up with it at the line. To me, that sounds like somebody that is doing the job of the OC. because they are incompetent. All they want to do is run hitch routes. Hitch routes. Excuse my, over the words, but like I don't understand. I don't get what more y'all want him to do. Because when he do want to call the plays and it don't go the way y'all want it to, y'all won't blame him. Nobody wants to blame the OC. Nobody wants to blame the coach. A coach that does not call plays. So I'll be lost a lot of times when people tell me some of these things, like, and it's been rumored that they were trying to get rid of Nick Sirianni in that 24 season. And I think the season before that too, if I'm not mistaken, which is just rumors. But where there's smoke, there's fire, for sure. A lot of people are going to come out, players are going to sit there and say the right things. They're going to come out and be like, oh yeah, Nick's a great coach, Nick's this, that, and third. But me personally, when you have to keep bringing, and this is what makes it really bad. You got to go out here, go get a whole new scheme, right? So now you're hiring players for a scheme that you don't even know about. So who's doing the hiring? You understand what I'm saying? Like people, like when you talk, so when people talk to me, you got to make sense, because if Nick never ran this style of play before, how would he be the one going out and getting all these different coaches? He might have a say in who he want on his staff, but I honestly think this is more of a front office, and probably asking Sean and whoever else, Josh, whatever the case may be. But this is more of a front office thing. Nick's just there, I promise y'all, man, because it's no way I'm asking somebody that doesn't have the knowledge of the scheme who we should hire. Wouldn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. So, Dante, you said you blame Howie. Why you blame Howie, D? Why you blame Howie? Nick Sirianni isn't for everybody. Him and AJ Brown don't really rock with each other. I don't think they do either, bro. To be honest, I think it's just a tolerable, a business arrangement. He got no say in who can, who's going to coach the team. Just like Nick Sirianni ain't got no say on who's going to be on the team. It's up to Howie Roseman, Mr. Lurie, and things like that. But the glowing of Jalen Hurts that he had, and I'm talking about Jeffrey Lurie at the owners meeting. He talked so like elegantly about Jalen Hurts. He's a winner, you know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. So that doesn't sound like somebody, which I could be wrong. That doesn't sound like somebody that is looking to get rid of Jalen Hurts. Seems like he likes what Jalen Hurts is doing. For sure, he probably wants him to improve in certain areas, which we all can do. But it didn't sound like he wanted to get rid of Jalen Hurts. It didn't sound like anything like that. People talked about him getting extended. When it's time for him to get extended, he'll get extended, and if not, we'll talk about that. But I'm not going to come on here and bash Jalen Hurts, a man that took us to 2 Super Bowls and won 1, undefeated in the NFC Championship games. What are we talking about here? People like to clown him about the tush push and all that. That's a play that Nick said he came up with. Now you see it's hurting our offensive line and things like that. Because I always said too, there's other plays that you can run if you spread the offense out enough. You can have Jalen Hurts run the ball, QB sneak, whatever the case may be, without piling on the players like that. So it's all it's all. I think it's just all nonsense, man. It's Philly media. They come out. You got to have a story because the AJ Brown situation ain't go down. They're talking about he might still get traded after June 1st, which is still a possibility. I won't say that. But it don't seem like AJ is really feeding into it. I even went back and listened to the WIP, if y'all remember, a few years ago, where he called up there and was, talking how he was talking. I just think AJ is kind of, just done with the media, man, because they're going to, like he said before, he'll say something and they're going to spin it the way that they want to spin it. And that's just what it is, man. I can't be mad at him for that. Now, trolling, he's definitely doing that for sure. He's definitely trolling. Like I said, I can't tell y'all if he's still going to be here. I think he's going to be here come June 1st, because the Patriots, no disrespect to them, but I just don't see them being a good contender team. Now, if AJ doesn't care about, going back to a Super Bowl or playoffs, going to the playoffs consistently, then, maybe he does go there. It's his team. He likes, that he grew up liking and things like that. I can't fault that man for that. You know what I'm saying? I can't fault that man for that because he did what he needed to do for us. I hope they can do it again for sure, because I would love another Super Bowl so we can shut the rest of these haters up. But it just seems to me, it's just like all the players in the NFL, Everybody, y'all sitting here. Don't get me wrong. I like the coverage because usually you hearing nothing but Dallas Cowboys, this and whoever else. I'm cool with the coverage, but I know this is not like I said. There might be something there with the Jalen Hurts, but it's not. I think Jalen Hurts is a coach's son, and he demands to know. Like, and they said this before. Nick Saban and what's my man named Lincoln Riley. He questions a lot of things because he wants to make sure it's going to benefit him as much as it's going to benefit the coach, but also benefit the team as well. Doesn't make sense to go out here and go run something that we know ain't going to work. You know what I'm saying? And then to not have that resume behind your name like a Kellen Moore or Shane Steichen to be able to adjust on the fly and implement things that that can help your quarterback or help the team. You can't really be mad at that. You know what I'm saying? You can't sit there and look at like, oh, like, man, Kellen Moore's going. I mean, Kevin Patullo will give me the same thing that Kellen Moore did. He's not. He's not. Kellen Moore played in the league. He played football. He was one of the best QBs at the time at Boise State, whatever the case may be. Like I said, multiple teams he coached for as an OC. Gave Dak Prescott #1 offenses, I think, once or twice while he was there. Tried it with Justin Herbert, got nowhere there. Then he came here and he went to Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, who was mid, from what people tell me, mid QB. So I don't know, man. Nick Sirianni every other year, and Nick lets his team collapse, crash, and burn every year. Every year, bro. The whole point of the coach is to getting your team better. But that's what I said. For somebody that doesn't call plays but has a scheme, how? How does that even make sense? Like, yeah, I got a scheme, but I just don't like to call plays. Yeah, I don't like to call plays. That's not my thing. I'd rather bring somebody in here and have them call the plays. We know Sean McVay calls the plays. We know Kyle Shanahan calls the plays. Zach, and even though the defense be trash, but the Bengals, what was it? Zach Taylor calls the plays. I know Sean Payton's probably bringing somebody in this year, but I think he was calling the plays last year as well. So it does make a difference in my eyes. I mean, I don't know, how anybody else feels about that, but I do feel like when you have a coach that calls the plays, has his own scheme, you know what I'm saying, knows the different tendencies off of certain plays and things like that, it makes it easier on your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's experienced. When you put somebody inexperienced back there that has never done the job before, coming off of a Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts is very demanding because he likes to win. He wants to win. Now I know the feeling of winning one of these trophies. Same thing with A.J. Brown and the rest of the players on that team. Small windows of opportunity to play this game. A.J. is getting toward the end of his career. You got to keep it a buck. He's about to be, 29, 30, if I'm not mistaken. He's getting toward the end of his career. So I can understand his frustrations because he wants to still go out there and be as elite as possible. You only get paid by putting up the stats. If he's not doing his job, we're going to move off of him, just like he said. And that's any player. If you're not doing your job, they're going to move off of you. Especially if you're not winning, they're going to move off of you. So I don't know. Well, I do know. I think this puts a battery in everybody's back, man. I think this puts a battery, like I said, if AJ stays, it puts a battery in his back, but definitely Jalen Hurts, because we know they all hear it. We know Jalen hears it. Y'all remember my man walking in for the Super Bowl and he sees the ESPN or whatever the show it was, and they had the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and he went out there and proceeded to do what? Let them mofos have it, man. Came home with a Super Bowl trophy. I'm sure. Okay, everybody loves playing for Mike Vrabel. Nobody ever said, to my knowledge, said they hate playing for Mike Vrabel. Can you say for Nick? Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I know a lot of players. I never heard nobody come out and say anything crazy about Nick Sirianni. And I never really heard nobody say nothing bad about Mike Vrabel either. And you really don't hear that until like a coach, like, I don't know, retires, or if they just have like the Bill Belichick. You know what I'm saying? We knew Bill Belichick was an ass. You feel me? You can look at him and just see he's not playing. Sean Payton, another one. He don't, you know what I'm saying? He's another player another coach that don't play around too much. But I haven't heard anybody, to be honest with you, come out and talk crazy about Nick or Mike Vrabel. I'm just saying off the top, just of what I feel and what I've been seeing, I don't think that dynamic works with having a head coach that does not call plays. And then even implementing the scheme, like I said, you bring somebody from the outside in, no play calling experience. Now he does have experience playing in the NFL under these coaches, and then he did, coach a little bit for the Green Bay Packers before we picked him up. But you can see that the Philadelphia Eagles were looking to change this scheme because the person that we were looking to get was Mike McDaniels, who's also like a West Coast style scheme. And I can't remember the other one that they were talking about, but I was looking more for him, the Dolphins head coach, to come here. And then when that fell through, he ended up going to the Chargers, which is all good and dandy. I don't know how he's gonna work out there, but and then it ended up, landing on Sean Meanie. And we never gonna get the real story until after the fact. But Nick's talking about, when he started talking about this, that, and the third, I just liked him, this, that, and the third. And it's like I'm not buying that, to be honest with you. I know they was in here trying to get in with Bob Cooter and all that, one of his friends. Like, I don't be buying into all the stuff that people be saying, especially Nick. But I just think like they are just fed up, like, and this is the last chance. And this honestly could be the last chance for Jalen Hurts too. I'm not gonna sit there and say that, but I honestly think this is the last chance for Nick Sirianni. Because now they done took your scheme from you, bro. They done took your scheme from you. You don't really call plays. That's why people be like, well, what is he really doing? And then if they find out that he's the leak, it's going to be even more of a problem. Because if the players know that he was the leak, how does that work and benefit of our success for this team? If you know what I'm saying, if the players ain't, holding him in high regard like they used to, whatever the case may be. So I just thought there was a lot of strange things going on. And then even, I don't know if I talked about it in my last podcast, but moving my man Clint Hurt as the assistant head coach. Clint Hurt is the assistant head coach. He's still the defensive line coach, but the assistant head coach. I thought that was weird because if I'm not mistaken, the head coach was the running backs coach, Singletary, whatever his name was. He's still on the team, but he used to be, if I'm not mistaken, the assistant head coach. And then they move off of him, and they put my man Big Clint up there. So it's like weird. It's like, to me, stuff like that is weird. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's to keep him from Sean Meanie and interfering with this offense upcoming season, or maybe Vic's about to retire and he want to give him a nice position before he overtakes the defense. So I don't know, but I just thought that was weird, man. Because it's not like they're, it's not. I don't think that and I say this too. I don't think that the organization, and maybe not everybody in the organization feels like this. They might be split because we've heard this come out before that people in the organization didn't think they should have drafted Jalen Hurts. Now, I don't know if they still feel like that, but from what this article is saying, and then you hear Jeff Stoutland on Nick Foles' podcast talking about one of the ways to reach Jalen Hurts is they feel like is through the media and things like that. So I don't know, man. It's a lot of weirdness going on, even with Jeff Stoutland. Like, are we ever gonna get the full story about that? Because to my knowledge, they said that they went behind his back, Kevin Patullo and Nick, to implement the run game that they wanted. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you won the Super Bowl the year before. Everything's gravy. You got a good OC. Jeff Stoutland got that line pumping and dumping Pauls. You feel me? They got everything clicking. Saquon running for 2,000 yards. And then the only thing that changes this year is the OC. Incompetent OC at that. You bring him in, he runs 1,001 hitch routes. And it's like, y'all want to blame A.J. Brown and y'all want to blame Jalen Hurts for the if that's what he called. I don't know what it was, but that's what they reported that he called this play. Y'all are coaches. Y'all could have intervened at any time and said, nah, do this because they're running this defense. Did I see that? I seen, when you look at that clip, I see two people that look lost. Everybody looks lost. Like what's the Spider-Man joke when they're all pointing at each other? They all look lost. So it's like I don't know who the source is, but they're giving their opinion. So it says AJ Sting, Hollywood Smith and AJ, too many top wide receivers. Nah, bro, it's not. It's never. I ain't gonna say it's too. It can never be too many top wide receivers, but I think when you have two good wide receivers in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, you can bring somebody like Hollywood Brown in there because he's a speed guy. You know what I'm saying? Smaller dude, speed guy, stretch the field. Really hasn't had a big role on any other teams. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like He'd be a good addition for a wide receiver 3, and then you still got baby AJ Cooper, and then Johnny Wilson if he's coming back. I don't know what his timeline is, but I should probably look into that too as well. But yeah, you got some other players too, man. And Elijah Moore, my fault, I forgot about him. We got him too as well. So we got some players in there that they can throw up in there and still make it work. I seen what Green Bay has, and there's no disrespect to their wide receivers, but their wide receiver core ain't nowhere near like ours. So if you can get Sean Meanie and even Grizzard, who had the Buccaneers clucking, they was clucking. I told you I was at the game. They was, you know what I'm saying? Baker Mayfield came out in that second half and was lighting it up. So, and then even throughout the season before they started incurring all those injuries, he had that pass game looking pretty good. So I'm expecting him to do the same thing here with this talent. But I don't know, man. I just think it just really boils down to coaching, man. This is a coach's son, and I know, like we've heard before through other parties and sources, that Jalen Hurts likes to be coached hard. They even talked about some tension between him and Kellen Moore. Not no bad tension, but you want to make sure everybody on their P's and Q's. Like I said, my man coming here every morning doing his job. You want to make sure that the OC is just as dedicated as he is. Simple and plain. I'm not saying, not OC, but head coach as well. But Jalen just wants to make sure everybody's as dedicated as he is. He wants to make sure that everybody's bought in as he is, because he has to go out here and he's risking his body to play this game just like any other player. Why not? Why can't he don't want a Super Bowl now, so why can't he question or say he wants to see certain things? Maybe not all the time, but see certain things. Go off script. That was another topic they was talking about, being uncoachable. I'm like, wait. How y'all saying this man uncoachable? He just won a Super Bowl last year. Like, we ain't had none of these stories. See, you can't write this crap when you win a Super Bowl, but when you lose the first round of the playoffs, a wild card, whatever you want to call it, you can write this type of stuff. They've been waiting to write this stuff because they never thought he was going to win a Super Bowl. When he went that first time and they lost, they said that was it. He probably not getting back here. Then he go back, do what he do, and he go sit in the fourth quarter. Who was the last quarterback? Who was the last QB in the Super Bowl to be starting quarterback that was able to sit they behind down and not have to play out the rest of the game? Somebody drop that in the comments for me if that's ever happened. You feel me? Because I don't remember that. So when people say all these things like, oh, Saquon got y'all there, and he might have, like, don't get me wrong, we were leaning more on our run than we were on our pass. But that's smart. That's smart football. Like, if I know y'all ain't stopping my running back, why am I going to just stop running Saquon? If y'all can't stop him. Now, they did stop, the run in the Super Bowl, but then what had to happen? Outside of the defense getting the turnovers and whatever the case may be, Jalen Hurts had to go out there and go throw that ball. Simple and plain. He did it once again at a better level than Patrick Mahomes, who's probably the best quarterback in the NFL at this moment in time. So I don't know, man. If this OC flames out, I'm sure Nick will be gone. I said the same thing, but I ain't gonna lie to you. When they told me they was changing the scheme, I thought he was going this year, to be honest with you. Not even gonna lie to you. When they said they was changing the scheme and bringing in Sean Meanie, and then they had to overhaul the whole offensive staff damn near, bringing in a new offensive line coach, and then that situation happened with Jeff Stoutland. I'm like, bro, what is going on? And then they said Nick went behind his back. I'm thinking Nick was going to be gone, but I don't know, man. But if Sean Meanie does do what I think he's finna do, I think you can see Sean Meanie being the head coach of this football team, to be honest with you. Exactly. Birds and bourbon. You're absolutely right. I just said it, bro. I just said it, bro. Because it don't make it don't make sense to keep him after this year if this scheme works. Because this is not your scheme, nor do you know anything about this scheme. That's been my thing with Nick Sirianni. Like, I appreciate all the winning, but how have you been winning? Because you had a talented team, or because you was going out here doing, your due diligence, and I'm not sitting there saying Nick don't implement certain things, but to what degree? To what degree? We see him call, Kellen called a play on the sideline for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But it's like, to what degree do you do that? Because to me, it seemed like last year was more on Kellen Moore. They said the players came to Kellen and they were like, yo, let's do this instead. Kellen figured out a way to, get that ball, get them feet moving for Saquon Barkley and get that ball moving, man. They didn't do that this year, which was a problem. And we all know why. Offensive line. Then we heard about the Coach Stoutland situation. I don't know if people were butting heads there as well, but it's a lot of things we still don't know. Like I said, this is just me speculating about what I'm thinking, because like when that hit piece came out, I'm like, well, it got to be Kevin Patullo, because you heard Kevin Patullo talk to what's my man name, Ryan Fitzpatrick. And then Richard Sherman had broke the news, and he didn't say the whole conversation, but he was like that Kevin Patullo said along the lines, you don't know everything that's going on. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. And I'm not sitting there saying like he was sitting there saying or indicating anything bad on Jalen Hurts' part. But then as you see, like as the season went on, now that the season's over, you see that the offensive line wasn't working out. Was there some cohesion issues between Jeff Stoutland and KP, which I honestly do think, because Jeff Stoutland looked like he reminds me of freaking Vic Fangio. Also from the Alabama tree, like Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different degrees of coaching as well. Nick's not a Nick Saban coach or a Lincoln Riley coach. No disrespect when it comes to mannerisms and demeanor. He's not like that. He is not like that, bro. Like, Eagles really didn't have a good run game last year. The run game had holes as big as a key this year. Those holes. Yeah, they weren't there this year. I know, like I said, man, offensive line, which I figure they're going to address that this year in this upcoming draft, which I will have a video or I might go live again. But it'd be kind of hard to like pull this stuff up. I ain't all technical with the technology like I used to be. I've been seeing LB and all, Josh and Philly 500. They be, throwing that joint up on the side. I'm like, I got to get that. But we're going to talk more about the draft as well. Probably starting, I don't want to say maybe next week, I want to say, because it's coming up soon. So, but there have been some players I've been looking at. And this is going to tell us too about AJ Brown. Like, if they go for a wide receiver early in the draft, does that indicate that, post June that AJ will be gone? Hopefully not. Like I said, I love AJ here, man. Like I'm 33, bro. I lived. I'm going to tell this story every time. I lived through the BS of the Philadelphia Eagles, bro, when they were trying to get it right. And I remember the first Super Bowl, McNabb and T.O. and Freddie, all them dudes, man. I'm like, damn, we finna win this joint. And then second half come, bro, when I say tears, crying. I was probably like 11 years old, something like that, 10, 11 years old, crying. Watching on my grandma's little TV that she left for me, probably like 19 inches, if that. Sitting there squinting, looking at the screen, and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, bro. Could not believe what I was seeing, and bro, probably like the worst day of my life, to be honest with you. That and then 21 or 22. I mean, I was already grown then, but still cried. So it's like when I'm past the nonsense. Like I really just want them to go out there, go get a decent coach, head coach, whatever the case may be. Not to say Nick Sirianni's not a decent coach. But it's like if Nick Sirianni went anywhere else, what is his – and I said this before, it's like what does he do well that he can take with him to a different team and implement it there? Culture is – I mean, I ain't going to say anybody can build a culture, but culture is not – it's a part of it, but it's not all of it, bro. It's not all of it, man. Everybody got to be buying into what you're saying and things like that. It just can't be culture. It also got to be the X's and O's as well, because does another team do what they do for Nick Sirianni like the Eagles do when they have to go out here and keep getting OCs? I don't think so. You want to go out here and go get, somebody that kind of know what they talking about, has a little bit more knowledge about the game. You might still hire an OC, but like I said, usually like Sean McVay is calling the plays. Kyle's calling the plays. They might have an OC there, but it's an apprentice. I'll tell you that. He ain't calling the plays. He might, he's just there. So motivational speaker, the motivation is running out. I honestly think that motivational speaker stuff is running out, bro. It's running out. Because now you're like, all right, we see like they even said it to Jalen Hurts at the Pro Bowl. Was it the Pro Bowl or the flag football? I think it was the Pro Bowl game. They were like, you usually go Super Bowl playoffs. And he was like, well, let's keep that up. So hopefully we go to the Super Bowl this year. But I just think Nick is like, I'm not gonna say he's the one, but for Kevin Patullo to go out there and say what he said, that was during the season. I knew he was going after the season was over. What? No way you letting people on the outside know what the family got going on up here, man. It's not me. And I hate when people don't take accountability because you are a first-year OC. So, yes, a lot of pressure is on you, especially in Philadelphia. But I felt like he never took the accountability that he needed to. I always hear Jalen Hurts say, it was on me, this, that, and the third. I've always heard Jalen Hurts say that. KP, I'm like, no, we got to do this a little bit better, execute better, blah, blah. And now you're not here. So, I don't know. He said, bye-bye, AJ. I don't think AJ leaving, man. I don't think AJ's leaving. I feel like also, too, they were trying to sabotage. Like I said, I know he's older with, you're talking about the knee issues and things like that, which is, could be a problem because he has been suffering from that from the last 2 years. But I still think you can get a first-round pick from AJ from a team, depending on, the need of a wide receiver. I think you can get a first-round pick if they do decide to trade him, because it seems like every time they ask, Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman, they're like, AJ's an Eagle. He's an Eagle. And they don't talk about, contracts and discussions about, what they're going to do with players. But at the same time, it's like, I haven't heard anybody else say anything else, man. AJ went actually during Super Bowl weekend. Philly is home, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? I still see him he had his foundation over the weekend. Had the little Eagle logo on his shirt on one of the pictures and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. That's just something we got to play by ear until the season starts. So, yeah, the 49ers team that Kyle Shanahan took to the playoffs, injured and all, and said what would Nick do with that roster? He said, say it louder, yo. Yeah, my man, the 49ers fan, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say too much about that, but he knew the footage I got. But long story short, that just shows you right there, though, honestly. You get Kyle Shanahan bringing in people off the street. This is what people don't talk about. They always talk about Jalen Hurts couldn't beat players off the street. No, we couldn't beat. This is a team sport, okay? Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Kevin Patullo couldn't beat the 49ers, okay? That's how you got to say that. Because y'all want to put everything on Jalen Hurts. Why don't we put nothing on the coaches that don't call plays, but it's still there, looking clueless, talking about run. It was Jalen Hurts' idea to run 4 verse. Okay, like I said, he was. If you had any knowledge about what was going on during that game, you would have said to yourself as a coach, you know what, Jay, we just ran that play. Let's run this instead. OC right there too. Jay, we ran this already. Let's run something else. But see, the thing with me is, we'll just concentrate on that. We don't talk about, how the whole season, why were we hiking the ball with 2 to 3 seconds left on the play clock? It seemed like every drive we did not know what the play was coming out the huddle. And you want me to blame Jalen Hurts for that? That's coaching. That's part of coaching. That got nothing to do with Jalen. Now, if it's Jalen, he has to look at his little wristband so he can call the play. That's on him. But if the play is coming from the OC and it's coming out late, I have no time to sit there and assess my defense. I just got to run the play. Regardless if it's good or bad, I got to run the play. So the operations were off between the coaches and players to me. And that was almost every week. Every week. And if y'all like what y'all hearing, please like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. But that was every week with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's Jalen's fault. We seen Kevin Patullo on the sideline look like, bro, I'm hand to God. The play sheet is only like this. He like, wait, he's taking the focus off, but he flipping it. I'm like, bro, it's only one sheet. What are you looking for? Nobody talk about that type of stuff. You put an incompetent OC in charge of a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't get that, bro. I literally don't get that. So the hit piece to me, it's probably going to do a couple things. It's going to put a battery in the back of Jalen Hurts and the rest of this team. But then it's also really going to shed light, like who's really going to be doing their job this year. Is what is it? 49ers saved us from the worst loss in Eagles history versus Seattle. Seattle Seahawks. He wouldn't know what to do. That crowd would have been mad. Yeah, bro. I'm gonna put it to you like this. Like, I did want to see that game. Because I felt like the Eagles would like try to go out there, regardless of what's going on, go out there and give it their all. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad we didn't even get there neither, to be honest with you, because it didn't matter. Like, I knew, and see, me personally, I already knew like this wasn't a Super Bowl contending team. Like halfway through the season, I'm like, bro, like we barely can scrape wins, and then the teams we were losing to, I'm like, bro, we should have beat them. Then you get the 4 turnovers, and that was a big thing in the Chargers game. People talking about, oh, is Jalen Hurts the quarterback for us? He didn't do the ball, turned the ball over 4 times, and all this other nonsense, bro. And that's like, man, we can concentrate on regular season stuff, but how many players and how many QBs is going to the playoffs or going to Super Bowls? Like, let's be for real. When we think about like the active QBs right now in the NFL, all right, that have a Super Bowl ring. I said active QBs, so I'm not just saying starter. This is active QBs right now. What is it, like 6? Jalen, Pat, Sam, Joe Flacco still playing. Aaron Rodgers is still playing. I think Russell's still in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Did I miss anybody? If I did, drop them in the comments. Those are the only 6 players in the league that have a Super Bowl ring. Like, what are we talking about here? Oh, Trent Dilfer went to a Super Bowl, but was he Super Bowl MVP? No, even Sam wasn't even Super Bowl MVP. Like, what are we talking about here? They like, well, he moved off of Kenneth Walker. I'd have left too, man. You can see Kenneth didn't want to be there. I don't know if that was because of the management or the owner, but that was so weird. If y'all seen the parade, and the owner was like, it was weird because Kenneth just asked me about contracts. He's like, I felt weird. I'm like, bro, what? Why would you say that? Like, what? So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, which I totally understand. Don't get me wrong, but I'm in like some of these NFC East groups on Facebook, and I know we're just trash talking, but some people really believe the stuff that they're saying. Like, well, Dak Prescott's a way better quarterback than Jalen Hurts, and individual stats. Of course, he might look like he's better, but when you put Dak in the bright lights, he loses to a 7th seed. You lose to a 7th seed team. You are first. I think it has never been done before. So when people tell me stuff like that, I'm like, all right, it is what it is. But Dak has never been to the big game, nor has he ever been to the NFC Championship. He gets to the second round and he gets beat by a 7th seed team, and you were the number 1 seeded team. Okay, 2-3 picks. I can't say that about my quarterback in the playoffs. Can't say that. My quarterback had more playoff wins the first time he went to the Super Bowl. Let's keep it a buck. Like, but then they'll sit there and be like, well, if Dak had your offensive line, if Dak had your defense, if Dak had this, we win Super Bowls. So why don't y'all go get that? Y'all saying he's elite. Same thing with Josh Allen. If he had your offensive line, like, it got so bad for Josh Allen, he had to start running our play. The play that they wanted banned, his coach, they wanted it banned, but that's the play he was very successful with this year and still couldn't get the job done because he threw 4 picks or had 4 turnovers in the playoff game. But then last week, it comes out that he was dealing with a foot injury all season. He looked like he was walking fine to me. Looked like he was walking just fine to me. See, they'll come out and they'll create these excuses for people like him that they deem throw a pretty ball or whatever the case may be, but can't win the big game. The same person y'all struggle to get past, my man looks better in every game. And I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes. Maybe not that regular season game, but every other game, both the Super Bowls and then the game afterwards, that following season when we beat them. They ain't beat us since they beat us in the Super Bowl. Let that sit in. So to me, it'd be so crazy when I hear some of the things that these players say, such as Levante David. Levante, come on, bro. Give the full story. We wasn't game planning for Jalen Hurts. Well, AJ Brown's not in the game neither. Hello. We had players injured and all that. Everybody didn't play in that game when they beat us in the playoffs. Let's like tell the full story. Like, I don't be understanding. I don't be understanding when people say some of the things that they say, because it's like y'all do no research or not even a fan of the team to be saying the things that y'all say. Because then y'all just look stupid. At least to me, y'all look stupid. You look dumb. My thing is, you go out there with a fully loaded team, and we don't have AJ Brown, our number one wide receiver. Now, Smitty can, don't get me wrong, I consider Smitty a wide receiver 1-2, but we know AJ is, he's his go-to. Not to say that Smitty can't get it done, but like I said. But you want to sit up there and say, oh, we got, we played this cover, same thing in the second half. Now, if you know that's what Jalen Hurts struggles with, then this is when the coaching comes in. You feel what I'm saying? That's when the coaching is supposed to come in and be like, yo, all right, they playing us like this now. You need to go attack. You need to go out here and run this play, attack them like that, or attack them like this. So it's like, it's two sides to every coin, but you're just not going to throw all this on Jalen Hurts, man. That, to me, is crazy. Even A.J. Brown, when they had asked him, is it your quarterback? He was like, Young got a lot that he got to deal with back there. It's always been the offense, and the offense is Nick Sirianni's. It ain't Jalen's offense. It's not A.J.'s offense. It's not Devontae's offense. This was Nick's offense. The head coach that don't like to call plays. But he even said it with this is how crazy this is. He even said it with Sean Meanie. He was like, I'm still the head coach of this team. I want to see some of the stuff, intertwined in what Sean Meanie is doing too. For what? For what? Don't get me wrong. There's certain plays that you might be able to run that, you can, But the reason why we're bringing Sean in here is because you can't get your scheme to run properly. Or at least the way the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to look. This is his scheme. Like, come on, man. Like, that's be blowing me. Like, imagine Kevin P. and Seahawks. We have communication problems at home. Imagine at Seahawks how many delay of games, false starts, burning time. Bro, all that. And that's how you get so many penalties and things like that, because it's like you're getting the call in late. You're getting delay of games. Players aren't set. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so much stuff that was happening that we can't just sit here and just put this on one person. You can't put that on one person, man. But if I'm going to put it on somebody, like I said, love Jalen Hurts to death. Does he need to improve? Of course. I want to see him get better every year if possible. But has Nick Sirianni gotten any better when it comes to his scheme? Clearly not, because they threw it out. But y'all want to sit there and say it's his fault, he's uncoachable? My man has been running 7 different schemes, some similar schemes, don't get me wrong, but 7 different OCs or 6 different OCs. And has gotten us to the playoffs every year. Now, was it successful every year? No, as we've seen this past year. But then we know when we bring in a competent offensive coordinator, what do we know from our results? We at least get to the Super Bowl. At least an NFC championship game, but we're at least getting to the Super Bowl. So to me, it's crazy. It's crazy, bro. I don't see any players asking to be traded. Like before I hopped on here, Dexter Lawrence from the Giants wants to be traded. Sexy Dexy wants to be traded from the Giants. But people were trying to tell me, oh, the Giants are going to be the number 1 team in the NFC East. No, you're not. No disrespect, but Harbaugh couldn't even get it done with Lamar Jackson. You think he'd get it done with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo? No. Man, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson down there and couldn't even get that job done. But I'm supposed to believe that, because he's won 1 Super Bowl way back when. Shout out to Joe Flacco, who was still playing. That he's going to turn that organization around? Hell no, man. They even had problems before he even got there with keeping the GM that they had. But don't nobody talk about this. They just want to concentrate on, Jalen Hurts. a year removed from winning the Super Bowl. Talk about AJ Brown. He's not happy, but by his and what's up with this? By their mannerisms. Now we're reading into mannerisms to get a story. We're reading into mannerisms. Like, bro, y'all mofos kill me, man. Just because they got a mic, and I'm sitting there saying that like I ain't got a mic in front of me, but they just because they just have a mic and they go in there and say anything. So, but yeah, man, how long we been running for? 55 minutes. I don't think. Let me check my phone right quick. Make sure we mention nothing off Twitter. But yeah, man, I'm just to the point now where it's like I think Sean Meanie gonna come in here and do a bang out job. Pause, because every coach that they have talking to that they just speak so glowingly of Sean. So hopefully we see him too soon with a oh my fault, y'all. With an interview. I'm trying to see if I can pull up Twitter real quick, see if there's anything going on. Now I kind of want to know, because now they done signed Jordan Davis. I kind of want to know if if Howie would have known that, would he would have traded for Sexy Dexy? Because I like Dexter Lawrence, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. All right, I don't think I have anything else from what I'm seeing on here. I see. Okay, yeah. So from what I'm seeing, man, ain't no other news. I do see here though they did say something about Jeff Curry, because I know they were talking about trying to get a QB in this upcoming draft, which they may. Still don't know what's going to happen with Tanner McKee. I know that he was linked to the Jets earlier, or about a few weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. Did he try to move off of him, or does he stay? They brought in Andy Dalton as well. So I thought they brought, and the funny part was I thought they brought in Andy Dalton because they knew they were going to be getting rid of Tanner McKee. So Tanner McKee possibly could get traded during the draft. So we'll see about that. Same thing with AJ Brown. That's another player that we got to just keep an eye on, man, because I know regardless of how I feel, I think he's going to stay, but we still got to just monitor that situation, and just see how how it affects us as a team. Because if he does go, we got to go get somebody else, man. None of the players I named earlier are, could be a good two. Like maybe Hollywood Brown could be a decent two, but you can't rely on that, man. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. And then something else I wanted to say before I hopped off here, man. Damn, slipped my mind. Something else I wanted to say. I can't even remember what it was now. It was something pertaining to Jalen Hurts, but the draft. They were talking about drafting a QB to put some pressure on Jalen Hurts this year. I think they do probably still do that in the later rounds if they feel like they need to, or if they do move off into Tanner McKee. But I just feel like the type of person that I've gathered Hurts to be, he steps up to the plate, man. And I feel like with Sean Meanie being brought in here, and I think that was an organizational thing, because like I don't see why Nick Sirianni would go out here and be like, oh, let's get rid of my scheme and go bring a brand new scheme in here that I have no knowledge of. So I do feel like the organization is still behind Jalen Hurts. I don't see why they would bring this scheme in here and think he couldn't run it. I think he can run it. Probably going to take some time, and would like to see them play in the preseason games, which is something that Nick don't like to do. I do know Vic Fangio, when he first came here, he said, he would like to see the team practice a lot more and things like that. And I feel like that is the mentality that we do need to have, especially this year, because it's a new scheme. You want to make sure that the players are, balled in and they understand what's going on. If there's going to be heavy motion or under center play, make sure all that's down pat. So when we go out here the first couple of weeks, we don't look as bad. If we can look great, that's even better. But I'm not expecting, like I said, first couple of weeks, I'm not expecting to go out here and be like, oh, because it's a new scheme, man. Like, you got to get used to it. I'm for sure Jalen might be is used to this type of stuff now, going with his, like I said, seventh OC, since he's been in the NFL. And he said he liked him. So I think he's balled in. I'm hoping AJ Brown is balled in as well. You feel me? I know Devontae is. And I also wanted to talk about that before I hopped off of here. If y'all didn't get a chance, Devontae Smith's his YouTube channel, but his first episode was titled Separations. I said, "Oh Lord, please don't let that be what I think it means. Does that mean AJ leaving?" You feel me? So, but it could just be separation from you got to get that separation between you and the cornerback. That's what I'm hoping it is. But you never know, man. So, like I said, if AJ leaves, I appreciate you, AJ. I ain't never gonna say nothing bad about AJ, bro. Y'all can't get me to say nothing bad about AJ. That man brought us a Super Bowl here. And all he's ever tried to convey was that we are a better team than what y'all have been seeing offensively. We are a way better team. And like I said, the offense comes from your coach, also your quarterback, and what he can and cannot do as well. So I got to give, blame on Jalen Hurts as well. But I've also heard Jalen Hurts say they want a more aggressive scheme. We've heard him say this stuff. So it's like we can all beg to differ, but I've heard him say these things. So now you get a new offensive scheme coming in here under Sean Meanie and new coaches, coaches with decent resumes that have shown that they can get the job done in the NFL and at a high level. And now it's just the thing is we just got to get it to all come together, man. Different people, like I said, Jeff Stallin's going now. I can't even think of my man's name, the new O-line coach, but hope he does well. But it's just getting everybody to buy into what needs to be done or how they want it to look, and then just go from there. So, like I said, hopefully we see something in the preseason, wherever the case may be. You're going to hear the training camp notes from Elliott Shore Parks, which I still do follow him because I do like to hear that. But just want to see how it goes, man, during this training camp and things like that. Now, I don't want to get too far into that, but I'll also be having a video coming up soon because I have not posted a video on here in a long time. Just been going live. So I'll have a draft video up. Probably do a mock draft. I got my PFF loaded up and things like that. So do a mock draft with y'all about how I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go, who they're going to pick if they're available. I think the Eagles have the 23rd pick in the first round or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I know we talked about offensive line and tight ends. I think safety is something like I know people want a safety, and if they can get a good safety, I'm all for it, man. You see, we picked up Andrew McCuba in the second round last year. Thought he was doing pretty well until he ended up getting injured and missing the rest of the season. So you still got Epps back there, and I want to say Andre Sam. It might be somebody else. I don't got the depth chart in front of me, but a few players back there that I'm not really too worried about. I think the big thing with us, though, moving into this next season is offensive line, and tight end. Dallas Goedert's on a 1-year deal. Grant Calcaterra liking, but he's not the replacement, and whoever else they have behind him. So I'm thinking they go tight end in the draft, or definitely offensive line, maybe a swing tackle or something like that. I know I've been hearing Philly 500 and my man Joey Shakes talk about Baker from Penn State. It was another player that they talked about too on the offensive line. So I'm just trying to hit that offensive line. Tight end, maybe, like I said, maybe you go, maybe cornerback, but you got Woolen for a year, so I don't know how that all works out. But be sure to tune in for that draft video. I'm gonna try to get that out by what's today, Monday. I might be able to get it out by Friday or this weekend. I'm probably just hop on here and go live when I can. I know it's been a little bit since I went live the last time, but I really do not feel like I need to hop on here unless y'all want me to, unless y'all love seeing my face and talking to me. But I really don't feel like I need to hop on here and keep reiterating the same, excuse my French, shit that the national media keeps just spreading. Is AJ Brown going to be here? Now the new thing is Jalen Hurts the problem? It's like, man, find another team to talk about that ain't won no Super Bowls or ain't won a Super Bowl in a long time. Like when you're trying to attain something, and my favorite player is Michael Jordan. Any sport, Michael Jordan is my favorite player, okay? Because he got that dog in him. He didn't care about how somebody viewed him or looked at him. As long as he was being able to go out there and go win them first 3 chips, then retired, came back and won another 3 chips. Like, what are we talking about here? Then you seen The Last Dance, he was like, don't get me wrong. How I went about things might not have been the right way. But I turned all them people into champions. Some of them 6-time champions. You know what I'm saying? So I see things a little bit differently when it comes to these sports because I feel like a lot of people get these passes and because like I said, it looked good during the regular season, but then when it comes time, crunch time to go win a championship, championships don't matter no more. When did we start saying championships don't matter? And we just started looking at stats from an individual player, saying how great this player is. Greatness comes from when you can bring, especially in the team sport, a team together and get them to that highest point. And Jalen Hurts has done that. Might not have been the way we wanted it to look or other people wanted it to look, but Jalen Hurts did that. A.J. Brown did that. Devontae and them did that. So I'm not, I see things a tad bit different. I like, some of them quarterbacks that they name, but I say this every time. The only other quarterback I'm taking is Patrick Mahomes. And the only reason why I'm taking Patrick Mahomes is because he wins. Jalen Hurts wins. Simple and plain, bro. Might not be what it should look like, but he win. So it is what it is, man. But if y'all ain't got nothing else, man, I'm about to hop up off of here. Please stay tuned. I'm gonna try to hop on here either this is Monday, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, talk to y'all. Or if some breaking news breaks out or comes out, I'll hop on here and go live with y'all for a little bit. But before we get up out of here, if you could, please like, comment, and subscribe to always catch this vibe. I greatly appreciate it. Also, I got to reach out to Mr. Reggie. I know I haven't, that's me. Got to reach out to Mr. Reggie. But if y'all can go over to Bet on Yourself Sports, go follow my man. He had to remake his page because he deleted it by accident. And I'm gonna get him on here as soon as possible. Hopefully, we get a crowd in here and get his page back up to where it need to be. But other than that, man, like I said, just stay tuned for the draft video coming this week. Have a few of my, my personal favorites that I'm looking at. Edge wise too. We gotta look at that edge too. So, but some of my personal favorites I like coming out this draft. Maybe seeing, what players might get traded in the draft. A host of things. So, just going to look out for that around like Friday or this weekend. But with that being said, I'm your host, Niall Frazier. I greatly appreciate everybody that came through, gave a 2 cents or just listened to mine about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, man. But with that being said, I'm going to hop off of here. I appreciate it. But before we get out of here, can I get a Go Birds, baby? You already know. I'm going to holler at y'all. Y'all be safe and enjoy the rest of y'all day, man. Deuces.